I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one
one
nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, thank you all for being here at the last meeting of 2020. Shannon, would you like to start with roll call?
Sure. Jane Flanagan,
Present.
Felix Ramundo,
Present.
Kyle Elliott, Janine Riley,
Present.
Carol Smith.
I'm here.
And here comes Kyle.
And KME is here.
And Kyle, we just did roll call, so Kyle Elliott.
All right, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Great.
Okay, and then open for public comment. We do have an invited a guest is here, but are there any public comments? Okay, if not, we will move on. Just have a few items for the chairperson minutes. I want to thank you all for being here. 2020 was a very demanding year for everybody, I think, on every level of everyone's personal and work lives. So I would like to thank you all for your flexibility and understanding this year that things can change due to the circumstances that we are all living under. I have said this before, but again, I'd like to say I want to praise our COVID response. I think we were the only organization in the community, Jane, that put up a banner. And I provided a training to our employees on March 9th. I came down with handouts and information. We put up posters around the office facility. We enacted environmental constraints on people, moving offices, so there are single offices, continued mask use and hand washing. So I appreciate all of that, and I do take it seriously, again, with my background as a scientist, and I used to do flu vaccine research in my late 20s, and we still don't have a universal flu vaccine, and I'm old now, so you'll never see a universal flu vaccine. But anyway, I appreciate you all taking the precautions, and I'd like you to advise folks to continue that. We're into cold and flu seasons. People are indoors more. So just continue the precautions that we have put in place. And I hope everyone can stay safe. Myself personally, I've only known one person that has gotten COVID, but I have a friend who has several people they've known who've gotten COVID. So in case you don't know anyone personally, it is out there. I'd also like to thank everybody for all the work this year for our budget. I believe we have the most, I'd like to say, clean budget that we've had in years. Going over it, the finance group put a lot of work in, but we made it very easy to read and very transparent. And I believe that will help us in the future. I think we have a good 5-year plan to see what's happening at the authority and where we can go with that. So I'm very happy about that. It's actually pretty remarkable. I'd also like to say this year, we've continued to strive to our community presence, community actions. We support a number of organizations, and we stepped up with Conchi Strong. So that's one part of the sewer authority that I like, that we do have the ability to have community outreach. We're still maintaining our infrastructure, and I appreciate all the work that our engineer has done this year, working with Ed on that. Again, that's something I think we can be very proud of. And I would just like to remind the board members that the videos are in Dropbox from the PMA conference videos that are out throughout the year. They're very useful. It's improved my knowledge of the structure and the function of municipal organizations that deal in wastewater and in stormwater management. So there's a lot of useful information on that. So I just want to thank everybody, and I hope that 2021 is a better year than 2020 has been, but I appreciate everybody's patience and flexibility and hard work. So also tonight we have 2 votes to go on for solicitor and for taking on the executive director. We will also have an executive session where the board will discuss compensation issues, and also the solicitor, I believe, has 2 issues for executive session. We're planning on doing that at the end of the meeting. So I think it's best it's not on the agenda, but before we get into the meat, or we can do it after the approval of the minutes, I believe we should go into the voting. I think that it serves us well for the people who are present here. So Janine, Jane, Felix, Kyle? Just, okay.
It works for me. Whatever order you want to go with.
No objection here.
Okay. So first I'd like to go into adopting Terry as our executive director. I hope the board got a chance to look over the document that was sent out by Lauren earlier this week. It outlines actually all the prescriptions that we, the board, asked for. So pretty much it's a summation of what we had wanted. And I'd like to know if anyone has any questions on that. I've reviewed it. I did not find anything out of place or needing clarification.
Right. Carol, if I can, the agreement provides that it's anticipated that in the beginning, he may work up to 40 hours a week, but that after the beginning phases, he would go down to 25, roughly 25 hours per week. It has an official start date of January 1, but it does allow him to come on a little bit earlier if there is a mutual agreement between him and the authority.
And I did, just to let folks know, I could not attend the previous meetings. I've had some health concerns this year that have taken up some time. So unfortunately, I couldn't make it those evenings. But I did schedule a conference with Terry, and we had quite a long discussion. I was very impressed with his knowledge, his ability to be an asset for us in terms of mentoring the staff we have on hand, which is exactly what we did for Stephen with Dave Bush. So we're just following a process that we've done previously. And Lauren disappeared. Oh, there she is.
And I was muted. Sorry about that. I'm here.
So Lauren, do we proceed on, do we have to have a motion for this and then a roll
Yes.
call vote?
Yeah, so it would be a motion. It would be a motion to approve the agreement between the authority and Terry Fedorchak, starting an employment relationship with the authority on January 1st, 2020, or such other date as the parties may agree, as set forth in the agreement.
I'll make that
Do I
motion.
hear? Okay,
I'll second.
great. And Shannon, do your magic.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Ramundo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Janine Riley. Yes. Carol Smith.
Yes. Well, I think that's excellent news. And I have, as I said, I did speak with Terry, and we're going to arrange some pre-meetings before the start of his employment. I've also discussed housing arrangements, office arrangements down at the authority so folks can have office space there safely. So all that's being attended to, just to let everybody know. Great. Well, thank you. And Lauren, moving on to the second, this is again a motion to move forward, and then quite frankly, I don't remember how we did this before, because our last vote only had Fred. We didn't have a contingent, so.
Sure. So what would be appropriate if somebody wants to make a motion to appoint one of the firms, and then if there's a second, then that vote could be voted on. or you can open it up to nominations, however you prefer to handle it.
Can we take a roll call vote on this? Can people say who they would like to vote for and they do it that way, Lauren? I just want to do procedurally what's appropriate. Again, the last RFP we had, we didn't have choices, so.
Right. So you're going to need a motion and a second, and then you can vote on that motion. So you can open it up for nominations. If anybody has any nominations, then you can go one by one through those nominations and do it by roll call vote.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear, open the floor for nominations?
So Carol, just a point of clarification, once a motion's made and then the second, that's an opportunity for discussion. So at that point, you can say you want to vote for one firm or the other, and you can give your reasoning. So that's an opportunity for discussion at that point.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, I'll make a motion. I make a motion to nominate Rudolph Clerk as our continued solicitor.
And do I hear any seconds on that motion?
I'll second that motion.
And Lauren, how do we proceed on this now?
You can open it up. You can open it up for
Okay.
discussion.
I will open this up for discussion now.
So at this point, if I can talk, Carol, can I? All right. So at this point, we have to make a decision whether we're going to retain Clark or entertain having Kilkenny as our possible solicitor. And I think
Or the other firm. I think there's
For
three
Lane.
firms up, aren't
there
there?
was three firms.
Right, am I
used
correct about that?
Kilkenny as there was Lamb.
Okay, no, I'm just asking, I'm just clarifying. I did review the video, but there are three firms. Just clarifying.
Right, as part of the request for professional services, yes, we did get three firms, and we had an interview.
I reviewed the
and-
tapes.
Right, I'm just recapping, like you said. So yes, listen, my thought is that that Clark has done good work, has gotten us out of tough situations, has done good for the borough and for us. But recently, my opinion is that they have not performed up to the standards that we need. And I think we went through a couple of the examples. You know, we can go back over the past couple of years. We can look at the right to know request debacle, that where an unredacted a right to know email request was put in, and the unredacted emails that contain sensitive information went out. We could talk about the guidance that we received on the re-rate implementation and the debacle that resulted from that. I mean, point blank at the meeting, we asked, do we have all our ducks lined up in a row? And obviously, the way that it all played out, we did not. In fact, we just ended up passing a policy at last month's meeting on conducting re-rates. I think that the response to the borough, the meeting in which many citizens got up and expressed concerns about the authority, I think our response was not as well executed. And,
Which response are you referring to, Felix, please?
the response that was prepared by the solicitor and at
presented
the
when?
meeting.
Which meeting?
It was the borough meeting that happened.
What, the Borough Council
The
meeting?
borough council meeting.
Borough
Carol.
Council meeting, Carol.
Yeah.
Did you attend, Felix, that meeting?
I did not, Carol. It's a good
No, I
question.
think I did.
No,
I presented.
what
I did,
was
and I
received
was there.
That was the
multiple
meeting that
council-
we
Carol,
presented
you asked me a
everything. Is
question.
it
Can I
correct?
answer it?
Yeah, I'm
I
just
think
trying to
I
make
would
sure
agree with
we
Felix. I
I'm
think
trying to understand what the debacle was, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to understand your points here.
I would agree
So-
that I think it's safe to say that meeting with Borough Council did not go as well as we would have liked it to have gone. I think that's a fair statement.
All right. So at this point, I think that Kilkenny presented strongly. I think that his team is a good fit with what our needs are. I think that he has experience. I think that his relationship building will serve us well. And so at this point, I will not be voting for Clark, but that's what we do. We talk, we put our ideas out there. We state why we're voting for one or the other, and that's what we do. One of five. So.
Well, thank you, Felix, for those inputs. I don't know if I agree with all of them. I didn't consider it a debacle. I presented to the Borough Council, and I appreciate the people who were there to support me, and I thought our response was appropriate. Others may not agree with me, but I feel it was appropriate. And again, we answered those questions at one of our other meetings, the fact that Stephen and Stephanie had a phone call. So all that was discussed previously. I feel that over the 10 years that I've been on the board, and I think in that time there's been 2 RFPs, and usually they were brought up under circumstances of due cause. And I did review the tapes, and I made a spreadsheet for myself of all 3 firms, outlining their costs and their capabilities, because that's what I'm used to doing. I'm used to doing data spreadsheets. In terms of cost, actually Rudolph Clark was the best in cost overall. And in terms of experience, I actually would have put Kilkenny at the end from what I saw in the videos, just because I want somebody with more municipal experience. I feel our solicitor has served us well with the direction that the board has given our solicitor, as I feel our engineer has done well given the direction of the board. So yes, it's up for discussion, and it's good to have a discussion and difference of opinion, but I will be voting for Rudolph Clark because, again, of their value to the authority over the years, in terms of plus and minuses, their cost is actually very reasonable. Their knowledge is exceptional for what they've helped us with over the years. They have the same sort of connections to the population as the other firms, and quite frankly, they know what we're up against over the past years and the next few years. I have not seen a decline in service, and I am comfortable making that choice. So, thank you. I voted.
Well, we end discussion, and then
Right, so,
then we take the vote.
right, so if there's any further discussion, otherwise there is a motion and a second, so a formal vote will be appropriate.
So does Shannon ask for the vote? Shannon, can you please hold a
Yes.
motion vote, please?
Absolutely. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
No.
Kyle Elliott,
No.
Janine Riley,
Jean, you're on
Janine, you're
mute.
muted.
Yes.
yes, okay, Carol Smith.
Yes.
And thank you very much for the reappointment. We do appreciate it.
Okay, so can we go into the meeting in general now? Go through the sections of the meeting. We'll deal with compensation at the end. And Shannon, when we talk about finances, if you want to bring up the insurance that came up, because I believe we need a motion for that insurance bill that came up. Yeah, Shannon, yeah, we talked about this. Okay, the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any questions on the minutes?
I have a question about the budget report, so it's more a clarification. On page
Sure.
3, on page 3 of 3, where it mentions the legal liens. It's the second line, and we had budgeted 25,000, and we've only spent year to date 5,000.
Jane, we would deal with that in the finance report.
Oh, okay.
If
Never
we
mind.
could just approve the minutes, then we'll go in the finance report and you're able to ask whatever you would like.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second that. And we're talking
And-
from the November meeting, not the December 1st meeting. Or are we doing both in one shot?
We're doing both. There are 2 sets of minutes this
Okay.
meeting. So, do we
Second
need a,
that.
we need a roll call for this, correct? Right? Roll call
Yes,
video.
yep. Okay, Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Okay, on to the finance report. And Jane, your question, please.
Certainly. So on page 3 on the budget report, where we have year to date, the second line is what we have spent so far is only 21% of what we had allocated for the liens. And I'm assuming that's because of our policy with COVID that we gave everyone the 90-day extension.
Right.
So
Yes, we obviously, we didn't file liens for, I think 1, maybe 2 of the quarters. But also Shannon has, I think Stephen had increased that budget a couple years back when Shannon came on board so that we could provide extra help to her as she learned the ropes, but she's pretty good at the ropes these days. So she doesn't need to lean on us that much.
okay, so thank you. That was my one question. I just wanted to clarify.
Are there any other questions on that? Uh-oh. All right. So first of all, do I hear a motion to pay the bills in the amount of, Shannon, make sure I have this right, $76,007.07? A lot of sevens.
That's correct.
All right,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Roll call for the bills, please.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Okay, so before we approve the finance report, I sent over the proposal for the insurance. And we can either stay with Selective and Colony, or on page 4, there were other options. So we need a motion.
Well, Shannon, I looked over these. Do you have any recommendations? I didn't see a need to change vendors, but I was wondering if I'm looking for other people who looked at it if they are of the same opinion.
I did not see a reason to change. The increase wasn't that much. It wasn't.
No, it went from 77,847 to 78,459, which is, marginal actually within cost.
Right.
Like,
And our workers comp actually went down.
Right. So but I just wanted other people's opinions on this if they looked over the documents.
I agree. I looked it over and I don't see any reason to change at this point. I'm sorry, Jane, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. That's exactly what I was going to say. It seems we might as well stay the course. It looks like it's a great situation right now.
But I mean,
And just
I
a
think we've
housekeeping.
gotten I think we've gotten good service with this, and I didn't see any reason to switch services here. So I'm just trying to get people concur with that.
And just a housekeeping matter, we did prepare a resolution to approve this evening, which would give Ed authorization to execute any documents. If the board's
Okay,
it would be approved by resolution.
so would we
No,
do that now, Lauren?
Yes.
We can
The
do it.
motion would be to approve a resolution authorizing the insurance renewals and authorizing Ed Mungan to execute any documents associated with the renewal.
Okay, do I hear that motion? Is it a motion, right?
Mhm.
Do I hear that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call, Shannon?
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Thank you, Shannon. And we still need a motion to accept the finance report.
I can make that motion. I'm still unmuted.
Second it.
Roll call?
Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. All right. Solicitor's report, please.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. You've all had an opportunity to review our report this evening. We do have a few items to discuss in executive session, as Ms. Smith mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. So I will keep this brief this evening. We do have 2 action items. The first is an approval for contract for professional services for a project located at 340 East 9th Avenue. Developer is DLB Properties, and I believe that this is one of our standard take 1 down, put 2 or maybe 3 up. 2. It says 2. So just be a motion to approve that contract for professional services.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And the second action item this evening relates to Nudi's Cafe. As the board will recall, we were approached by Nudi's. They went in right before the pandemic, and I believe that they were assigned 10 EDUs total, having come off of 1 EDU.
Yep.
Obviously, they are not using nearly the consumption that they had anticipated. So the board authorized us to reduce the EDUs with the understanding that if they do in fact start using more water in the future, then they would have to purchase additional EDUs. The owners of Nudi's Cafe were incredibly grateful, and they had signed this agreement. So this would just be approval of an agreement regarding sewer treatment capacity and payment of tapping fees for property located at 109 Fayette Avenue, known as Nudi's Cafe. Property owner is RIN Restaurants LLC.
And I apologize, but how many did they go down to? What?
They went down to, I believe they had to still purchase 2, but I'm going to double check that.
Yeah, I thought it was 2, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they had 1 existing, and then we had assigned them an additional 9, which was obviously
Way too much.
a
right
lot of
now?
money. I mean, yeah, it was accurate based on what they were proposing.
Anticipating, but yeah, not.
It
for
was
this year.
accurate pre-COVID.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Understood. Yeah,
And
I
since
was
it's
just
proposal-
wondering if we were talking 5, and I apologize. I probably knew this and forgot.
Yeah, so they have to purchase 2. It's 2 additional.
You need a motion?
Yes, it would be a motion to approve that agreement.
I'll make that motion.
I'll make a motion,
Oh, sorry. I'll second. Whatever.
and hopefully by mid-2021, I'm hoping. So,
That would be great.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
yes.
And just to update the board, I was speaking with Jane prior to the meeting. The borough did approve the Sewer West amendment. So we were holding their service and escrow agreement for the reduced tapping fees in escrow until that occurred. So I've told Ed he can go ahead and release that. And they did ask for the wire instructions for the authority, so that should be coming into the authority over the next couple of days.
That's great.
Unless there's any other questions, like I said, we do have some items for executive session, but that's all the action items I have this evening.
If there's any other question, if there's not any other questions or comments for the solicitor, do I hear a motion to accept the solicitor's report?
make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan. Kyle Elliott.
Yes.
Felix Ramundo.
Yes.
Janine Riley.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. All right. The last engineers report of the year.
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
Ready to start a great new year too.
But you got a snow day, Fred, right?
I got home at 5:30. Came close. I've been looking forward to a snow day for the last 3 years. Had a fire already and still got stuck working. But first item is the RBC train C that we had replaced 2 years ago. The end of the maintenance period is up. We've checked with operations staff. There's absolutely no issues. So we'll allow the maintenance bond to expire as everything is working excellently so far. Second item is the capital budget. We're setting up a meeting with Plymouth Township during the second week in January. We want to allow Terry to attend and to get up to speed on that. And we'll be setting that up with a understanding of we want to work with them, be good partners, have an open discussion on deferment of payments. How we can work with them that works within their budget and allows us to do the responsible items of replacing our belt filter press before we can go out for a bond. Just really, being a very transparent relationship. They've been a great partner. So we will confirm with you whenever that date is confirmed. But we also need to get Terry's availability as well. We obviously needed tonight's vote. Third item is the comprehensive EDU policy. We are drafting a letter that will be distributed to the board first. We also want to have Terry's input on this because this is the first time he's going to be put in the limelight when this goes out. So once we get our board's approval of it, the letter would then be distributed to West Conshohocken and Conshohocken borough councils and key staff manager, solicitors and others, so that we can have a discussion on that, which may lead to a Zoom meeting or answering questions. But we also, like I said, because that will be Terry's first time in the limelight, we wanted to have him be fully aware of that. So that way he understands what it is and can be up to speed on it. Because ultimately he's going to be our face as we move forward in the short term, at least. And that will be out probably Christmas week, depending on when we get into Terry. I was thinking of distributing it to the board and Terry at the same time. And that way everybody can have their collaborative thoughts via email going out. But I think it's something that we should get out earlier in January, second week or so, just to have all the boards be aware of that before we roll that out, whenever everyone is comfortable, meaning the host municipalities as well as our board. And then next item is the liner project. The survey work has finally been completed, and we're now ready to complete all the agreements. What this will enable us to do is actually utilize our 2 grants that we have, which is very important to us and us keeping our budget. And the grant does expire on June 30th. I don't think that'll be an issue. The first grant, I will most likely ask for an extension just because with COVID, you never know the time. But my goal would be to have that out to bid as soon as we get the accepted agreements back. If that be February, that would be great. That will allow us to do that work. On the next one, I'm going to bring Ed into the discussion on this one, on the operational assistance. Do you want to talk about the solenoid valve and the great job that the authority staff did on managing the sludge? You're muted.
Sorry about that. The belt filter press, we had a solenoid go down that operates the bellows system. We're anticipating that the part will be in early next week. What we've been doing with the decanning and the offloading has really been effective. So we don't anticipate any need for liquid hauling. So
Wow.
it's
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Ed, when did you start that?
I'm sorry, what was the question? Start
When
decanning,
did
you
that?
mean?
Yeah.
What would you say, Fred? Probably maybe
Late
May.
summer, when we first started bringing up the sludge process and going potentially with a belt floater press, we started looking at how can we be more efficient right now. And one of the ways is by decanting and thickening the sludge as much as possible, which provides us with additional volume. And then by proactively doing that and keeping our volumes down and our concentrations high, when we have things like the solenoid valve that went down last week, in the past we had the liquid haul. And here now we're able to go that week and a half without liquid hauling. There's significant savings to us, so that's one of being proactive and being prepared the way the operations staff has been doing and implementing this, not waiting till the emergency, but having it so when the emergency happens, it's not that it's no big deal. But while we emergency ordered that part during COVID could have been 4 to 6 weeks out. Luckily it was 7 to 10 days. So, we're not going to have any additional expenses as a result of the authority activating and utilizing our sludge management plan, which is, even when we buy the new equipment and we have less issues with reliability, things happen. It's still good operating practices, and we're seeing a benefit from it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah. Next item is the odor control media replacement. We publicly bid this on Penn Bid. We received the bids on December 10th. While we only received 2 bids, the good reasoning on that was the major manufacturer of this decided to do the work themselves. So they bid it directly. And as a result, no one else, was going to bid. There were other manufacturers that have it out there, but once this guy floated their price out to contractors, people kind of realized that it was there. I put in there, I was hoping for 50,000. We actually budgeted 60,000 for that. Just the media equipment, the media replacement alone is normally 50,000, the purchase of the media. Here, they're doing the disposal of the old media and the labor to install it, all for 47,407. And you can see where everyone else buying it at normal price, the other bid was 68,000. That would be,
Wow.
basically, you'd have $10,000 for the removal of the media and $10,000 in labor. But these guys are
And I
excellent.
think you said, Fred, the removal of the media is the nasty part.
It really is. It is. And especially if it's wet, and just getting that out there can be very labor intensive, requiring high vac, very expensive machines in there. So yeah, we were very, very happy with this bid, especially, to have them come in, and it's the exact equipment or exact media that we had before. So our
That's great.
recommendation, the solicitor's office did review this. We worked with Barb Maley, and she's recommended approval. So we are recommending the award to Calgon Carbon Corporation in the amount of $47,407.
So you need a motion for this? Correct?
Yes.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Before I go on to the development updates, I'd like to ask for some board direction. Is it all right for me to reach out to Terry and have discussions with him? What should be the procedures for me to communicate with Terry now that he's on board?
I would prefer to wait until we let Terry know, let the board will let Terry know. Fred.
I fully acknowledge it. I'm talking about like after Christmas, like how do I handle that? Do I wait for him to call me? What do I do?
Well, I'll be contacting him tomorrow. I wanted to wait to make sure that we had a successful vote. I don't take anything for granted, so I will contact him tomorrow and I'll give him contact information. And I already discussed with him that I'd like him to start seeing folks.
Okay. I'll wait for your direction on that.
And he has his own Zoom account, Fred. So you guys can Zoom together.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I assume there'd be like, I don't say a transition, but some kind of a get up to speed, just a brain dump on my part of these are the current, projects. This is where we're heading, just with the comprehensive EDU letter and the Plymouth letter. I figure we should probably have a staff meeting with them.
I agree. He's aware of some of these things, but I did not share anything with him again until I said it was solidified with a board vote. I didn't feel it was correct to do that, so I will be in touch with him tomorrow, and we'll set those stuff up. Ed, you'd have to work with him for the Dropbox, and we can start getting all of that into play, since we can do things on the computer so much easier.
Yeah.
Did he sign you? Do we have to wait on him signing his share of the agreement?
He has. We have not shared the agreement with him yet, so we'll get that over to him tomorrow, and he should get that back to us finally. Once he signs it, then it's fine.
Right, Fred. Nothing happens until we have two signatures on the agreement.
Right.
Absolutely. That's why I'm asking for direction. I don't want to step out of line by accident.
Fred, I'll send out a letter to folks when all of this has been codified.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I just didn't want to get out of turn.
No, I think it's great. I'm looking forward to 2021. So I think it's a good move for the authority. I think it's a good move. So.
Next item are the developer updates. Number one, Sora West. We did follow up again on December 13th with the developer to make sure that they're addressing that. We have not gotten a response back, but we also started doing a phone call as well as an email and letter. So, and in the past, they have been very responsive once we reach out to Keystone. And I'm sure they were probably also waiting to get all their other approvals at the end of the year. We're not the highest priority, but I don't want it to get missed. Next item is Matson Mill is going through the shop drawing process, and I believe that Jonathan has actually just approved their revised shop drawing, so they're going to construction, I'm assuming in the very near future, for the fact that they're processing that. Next item is just a minor update, 7 Tower Development. They followed up on the made-on-me frame and cover order, so they followed through on their commitments. Just want to let the board know that. 203 East 12th Avenue. We had the pre-construction meeting on December 1st. They're under construction. They started on December 3rd, so that's going relatively well and almost completed, actually. We previously done the 340 East 9th Avenue is a knock one down, do two, but we're continuing to see these small projects go through. We do have a meeting with West Conshohocken Borough on Echo Ridge for next Tuesday. The reason for that is the maintenance bond is actually being held by West Conshohocken because that project was already posted before we bought the system. So we do have to coordinate with them. The other thing that I saw, and I'm probably going to ask Jane for kind of an update, but a BPG has reached out to me on a new apartment complex. I think it's Equus. I'm not sure what we call them. But I think they recently got either a zoning or some kind of an entitlement. So I think this project, what was an apartment, went to an office, and when AmerisourceBergen went elsewhere, and someone else, I forget who he said, went elsewhere, they're going back to an apartment. But I think that might be coming down the road. Sorry, go ahead, Jane.
No, I agree with you. That's the steps that happened. And I think because AmerisourceBergen decided to make Conshohocken their headquarters, they feel that apartments are more lucrative right now than more office space in the area. And they come to council, and now they're next up on the agenda for zoning.
Okay.
But again, this is one of those projects that was probably originally approved in 2014.
Right.
We have, the people that I've been on council with, we've never approved one of these. They've all been pre-approved, but then the economy tanked and nothing got built. And then once the economy came back, they all began to get built. So
I think this is close to 400 apartments, right, Jane? Am I Is that
I'm
right?
thinking 50, but the
Um,
nice thing they're doing, they're aligning the Schuylkill River Trail. So it's not like off the beaten path. That I've never taken that part of the trail, but
Okay.
evidently they're going to straighten it out. And the way they laid out the parking, this is Fred would see this. Only a little bit of the parking lot is now going to be in the flood zone. So
Okay.
that made it better too. Like all of the, rather than being that big office complex, this is not as invasive to the environment right there.
Yeah, the original complex looked huge.
It was.
Yeah.
And this is still going to be a V-shaped complex with
Yeah.
like a courtyard in the center, but it, you know, as I said, we didn't have really much of a choice. It was approved already. So it
Mhm.
has to go through all of the preliminaries like zoning now.
The good news for us, and we never know until Borough Council approves it and gets their zoning, but it's something to keep in the back of our mind with our capital budget. It's another potential source of revenue that, while we never count on, is coming, which most likely won't come in the future. But it's another thing that we can take into account, which would impact potential rate increases or decreasing potential rate increases, because we could potentially have more cash on hand by that time. So that's the reason that I brought it up, just to put it on the general board's radar.
Appreciate it, Fred.
So that completes my report, unless the board has any questions for me.
No questions. I just think that the new proposed unit is going to have 352 units.
Okay.
Next door to me, but hey, we'll give it a shot if that works.
Wow.
But I'll make a motion to accept the engineer's report.
I'll second it.
Oh,
Beat you to it.
Shannon?
Jane Flanagan,
yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Ramundo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Okay, Ed, unmute yourself. Plant manager's report.
All right. All right, Fred already discussed the belt filler press issue. As you probably noticed, I spoke about it last month, about the PA1 calls that are coming in. And just last month, we had 157 of them. We usually get about 70, so they're still coming in like crazy. So I just wanted to touch on that. We're on top of them. The guys, we've got 3 guys on them, and they're all caught up. I'm currently putting together a punch list of plant maintenance items for next year. Working with John on this, just kind of walking the plant, making a list of outstanding things that haven't been done and future things we're going to need to be done, so I can try to get a schedule together for next year. I'm also looking into energy sources. Our energy, I believe our contract's going to end the end of next year. So I've been looking into the reverse auction system. I believe that's how we got the price we have now. So I'm trying to make myself familiar with that, and I'm actually starting to get a couple phone calls with that too. So I'm going to be looking for some help with that direction-wise, just to make
Yeah,
sure.
so historically, we have used a company that went out and solicited bids, and what would happen is the companies would submit their contracts in advance, and then there would be a due date, and that would be brought back in front of the board. I can get you the name. I think it was Joe. I apologize. It's been a couple of years since we did this, but I can get you the name of the person that we used before, or if the board wants to go with a different direction, that's fine too.
All right. I had a question about Terry coming on board. Will we need to add him to the public official insurance that we were talking about earlier?
Lauren?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I thought so too. Just want that confirmed. Because Dave Bush was on that.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay. Are there any questions for Ed? Comments? Ed, I just want to thank you for everything. It's been a tough year. Greatly appreciated, and appreciate everybody's flexibility and patience. So thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to accept the plant manager's report?
That motion.
I'll second.
Dean Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Are there any questions or comments for the maintenance and collections report? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the maintenance and collections report?
Make that motion too.
Second.
Dean Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. And since I would suggest we make a motion to adjourn and then go into executive session, Lauren, or I think that seems reasonable because the folks that don't have to stay on can leave.
That's perfectly fine. We can summarize the executive session at the next meeting, but I am actually going to ask Fred to hang on for at least the first agenda item.
I would
okay.
also, and I was gonna say, I would also like Fred and Shannon and Ed to remain on as well, for at least just a little bit.
Okay, well, no, that's fine. We'll do it in that order. Okay, I'm just trying to be
efficient.
aware
Yep.
of people's time. Sorry, my
And yep,
brain, the word was not there. This was not
and you're
cognizant of
correct.
people's time.
So a motion to adjourn into executive session would be appropriate.
Do I hear? I'll make that motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Dean Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yeah.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. So compensation and
Ed, stop recording.
Yeah, we're still recording.
Ed, you
Yeah,
gotta
Ed.
stop recording.
and
You're muted.
Just give it one minute.